the tape.
Alright guys, UFC 247 is coming at us, and in this main event, the second most controversial figure in MMA, Jon Jones, is looking to make another title defense against the young, undefeated contender, Dominick Reyes. Now, love him or hate him, Jon Jones has been one of the most dominant champions in UFC history. At this point, whenever he fights, most people are trying to figure out in what way he's going to win. That being said, in his last fight, Thiago Santos gave him an unexpected amount of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, me and you were talked about it after the fight. I had Thiago Santos winning the fight, the way I was scoring it. I thought we would have had a new champ. Thiago Santos, gave him a lot of trouble where everyone counted him out, including us. We didn't give him really any kind of chance of winning other than the lucky punch, but showed us.
On top of that, Thiago Santos injured himself in the fight and still was able to give Jon Jones that amount of trouble. Is this a sign of Jon Jones slowing down?
I think he's just getting too lazy. He knows he's that damn good, and he's leaps and bounds ahead of everybody. So I think he just goes in there, just not showing these guys any kind of respect and just not taking it too seriously. That's what I think.
That being said, he's not giving a whole lot of respect to Dominick Reyes already. But we've all seen what can happen to a dominant champion when he completely underestimates his opponent. Will that happen in this one? Does Dominick Reyes have a chance?
I'm hoping.
So yeah, let's get into it. All right, looking at the stats, we have both fighters coming in at 6'4". However, we have Jon Jones coming in with an 84.5-inch reach to Dominick Reyes' 77-inch reach. So just like every other one of Jon Jones' opponents, he's coming at a big reach disadvantage in this one. Now again, Jon Jones is one of the most dominant champions in UFC history. He's a physical specimen. As you've seen in the stats, has a ridiculous reach, and he knows how to use it very well. He's really good at controlling his distance, not only with his hands, but with his kicks as well. He has really good leg kicks, really good oblique kicks. Also sharp with his hands, really good with the straight punches. Very unpredictable. Has a spinning elbow that comes out of nowhere and on the ground.
Good wrestling.
Yeah.
Really good wrestling.
Really good takedowns, really good top control, and really good submissions as well. Dominick Reyes, again, a young, undefeated contender with a very good striking game. He has good boxing, really good counters, really good straight punches, and he has devastating knockout power. Really good at fighting backwards, really good at measuring distance, really good with the kicks as well. Really good with the body kicks, leg kicks. On the ground, though he is only a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, he has shown a good submission game. All right, now looking at the fight itself, again, Jon Jones is by far one of the most dominant champions in UFC history.
Some say the GOAT.
We've also seen him have a bit of trouble with opponents that can match him somewhat physically, specifically his height. We've seen in his fights with Alexander Gustafsson and OSP.
Just the first fight for Alexander.
Two very tall fighters, and two fighters that, in OSP has decent boxing, and Gustafsson has exceptional boxing for MMA. We're able to find their way into the pocket and land some clean combinations on Jon Jones. Jon Jones, having the heart that he does, having the chin that he does, and
the bad substance that he does,
and the well-versed game that he does, was able to mix it up, change his game plan up, and find a way to get a decision victory in both those fights.
He did.
Now, what I would say Dominick Reyes has that Alexander Gustafsson and OSP don't.
Toyo Tire commercials. I haven't seen Gustafsson in a Toyo Tire commercial. Not once. I
would say that's a plus for his side. Have you seen those commercials? Dominick Reyes has one-punch knockout power. If Dominick Reyes is able to find his way into the pocket and find a home for those punches, all it takes for him is one clean shot to possibly stifle Jon Jones and take him out for TKO or even get a clean one-punch knockout. Do you see that happening in this one?
No. Dominick Reyes is a little slow. Jon Jones, I think, will have the speed advantage. If he does, it'll probably be kind of a little break in the clinch, and you can just sneak something in real fast. But Jon Jones does like to throw the elbows, breaking away from the clinch. So, I mean, it's kind of hard for me to see it happening.
Yeah, that's one knock I have on Dominick Reyes is that he is sharp, he is powerful, his technique is good and only getting better, but he is a bit slow.
Physically, not mentally.
We saw that in the Volkan Oezdemir fight. Oezdemir was able to beat him to the punch and arguably won that fight.
I argue that. I argue that all night. Yeah.
Not only that, but Jon Jones, again, he has a very well-versed game, and he's also incredibly well at measuring distance. I know that Alexander Gustafsson and OSP were able to, again, find their way into the pocket and land clean on Jones. But once Jon Jones gets that read on his opponent, once he finds his rhythm, he keeps his opponents exactly where he wants them, and he dominates from every position. Those oblique kicks, as dirty as a lot of people think they are very effective in keeping his opponents at bay. And I have not seen one of Jon Jones' opponents who are able to counter him or able to find any kind of resolution for them. If Dominick Reyes can come in and land that clean punch, he can get the victory in this one. But for me, that's a long shot.
So you can say he has a shot just during the beginning of the rounds.
As we've seen with Jon Jones in those later rounds, he is where he's most dominant. So while Dominick Reyes does have a shot at getting that knockout over Jones, it's a long one, and I just don't see it happening. Let me ask you this. If Dominick Reyes does begin to start getting the better of the stand-up, do you think Jon Jones, one, will look for the takedown? And if he does, do you think he'll be able to get it?
No, he's going to look for an eye poke, then the takedown. Yeah, If he's getting any kind of trouble, he's going to clinch, eye poke. He's definitely going for a takedown, and he's definitely going to get it. What the hell is Reyes going to do? Absolutely nothing. There's nothing he can do about it. Jones wants you down, you're going down.
Now, Dominick Reyes' takedown defense has been called into question. We saw Volkan Oezdemir, who's not anywhere near known as a grappler, was able to take him down. However, according to Dominick Reyes, he wasn't expecting Volkan Oezdemir to go to the ground with him, which is why he wasn't prepared to defend the takedown. We saw in NCAA Division I All-American in Chris Weidman not able to get Dominick Reyes to the ground. When Dominick Reyes had his back against the cage, he was still exceptionally dangerous. He was able to get that left counter, and he took Chris Weidman out. That could put Jon Jones in danger of being knocked out, but overall, I don't think it's going to go there. Really, overall, I just see Jon Jones being able to dominate. Not only dictate the pace, dictate the distance, just be able to control every aspect of this fight and control where the fight's going to go. If he begins to have trouble on the feet, I do believe he will be able to take Dominick Reyes down. Yeah, Dominick Reyes does have good takedown defense, but again, Jon Jones was able to take an Olympic gold medalist in Daniel Cormier to the mat, and he was able to dominate on the ground. He was able to take another NCAA All-American in Chael Sonnen down to the mat and control him on the ground. Again, Jon Jones is a physical specimen, whether that be artificial or not.
That man's all natural.
And he's very imposing, whether in the stand-up or on the ground. He's controlling where the fight goes and what's happening in the fight. Now, he may have some trouble early on. In my opinion, Dominick Reyes needs to be aggressive, needs to look to land those combinations, look to find a home for those hands, and try to knock him clean out. Because once Jon Jones begins to get that read on you, it's game over from there.
I wonder if Jones is going to use the Conor McGregor shoulder strikes.
Jon Jones was using those shoulder strikes before Conor McGregor.
So Joe Rogan and Paul Felder still griping about that, guys.
And that's just a testament to how creative Jon Jones is in there. Dominick Reyes is an exceptional fighter, and I do think he could possibly be a champion.
You're the only one. You're the only one.
He says he's part of the new breed and part of the new era. Unfortunately, I think that new era begins once Jon Jones leaves the division.
I think so. I think everyone agrees. I think it's just too soon for Dominick Reyes to take this fight. I mean, there's no one else in the division. I don't think his time is just right now. He's still, putting things together. I think this is just bad timing. But there's nothing they can do. Jon Jones wiped out pretty much the whole division. I'm not dogging on Reyes. I think he's a good fighter. Shows a lot of potential. Unfortunate situation. Bad timing. It's going to be a huge lesson he's going to learn fighting Jon Jones that he's going to take and improve on.
Now, that being said, from everything we've heard from Jon Jones leading up to this fight, he really doesn't think much of Dominick Reyes. And it sounds like he thinks this is going to be a walk in the park. Is Dominick Reyes somebody that Jon Jones is going to want to completely brush off and just go in there and try to have fun with? He says that he didn't try to take Thiago Santos down because he wanted to test his striking against Thiago Santos. He heard all the fans saying that Thiago Santos was a dangerous striker and was, could possibly put Jon Jones away.
Damn near did.
Thiago Santos has devastating power, probably one of the most powerful strikers that Jon Jones had ever faced, but he didn't have the physical attributes to match Jon Jones. He landed when he was aggressive, when he came in there with those flurries, but Jon Jones was able to find his way out of the pocket, readjust, and continue to keep Thiago Santos at his distance. With Dominick Reyes not only has that power, but he also has those physical attributes to somewhat match Jon Jones. He may not have the reach, but he does have the height, and as we've seen with fighters that can match Jon Jones' height, they have an easier time finding a home for those punches. If Jon Jones takes Dominick Reyes too lightly, we could see another Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman situation.
That's good. Yeah, no, I'm hoping. I didn't think about that. But yeah, I'm hoping that now.
Again, I want to bring up too, perhaps Jon Jones is slowing down. Perhaps the wars are starting to catch up with him, or perhaps the picograms are starting to wear off. A lot of fighters, when they're slowing down, they say stuff like they want to test themselves against a striker when striking isn't their strong point, or they say they wanted to test their grappling against another grappler when grappling isn't their strong point. Is that really the case with Jon Jones, though? Or is his time coming up? And is Dominick Reyes really the beginning of the new era?
Every fighter, has their shelf life. Is it going to be this fight where we see it? I'll say no, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's hard to get a read on Jon Jones because in some fights he completely obliterates his opponents. In other fights, he has trouble where you think he wouldn't. But
I think he's turned into BJ Penn. Gifted, talented, and he just relies on his gifts, doesn't really train, and ends up getting the best of him. That's what I'm hoping that's going to happen. The BJ Penn effect.
Again, hard to really get inside the head of Jon Jones, and sometimes I feel like I don't really want to either.
I'll party with him.
But that being said, on paper, I think anybody would be an idiot to bet against Jon Jones, especially against, somebody still fairly new in Dominick Reyes. Yeah, Dominick Reyes is a good fighter. He is well-rounded, but Jon Jones is, I would say, exceptional in just about every aspect of the sport of mixed martial arts.
Some people are still saying the GOAT.
Yeah, so overall, again, I think this is another win for Jon Jones.
Yeah, that was easy. I don't know why I had to talk about it for so long. Yeah, no.
All right, guys. Well, that's our breakdown of the main event of UFC 247. We're not giving Dominick Reyes a whole lot of chance in this one, but we've seen plenty of phenomenal upsets in not only UFC but all of MMA history. I would hate for anybody to skip this one over if Dominick Reyes is able to completely shut us up and become what he says he is in the new era. All right, guys. We thank you all for watching, and we'll see y'all for the recap.
It was exactly what I wanted and what I needed. Somebody who's tall. People think I'd be bad against tall people, so I'm excited for this challenge. He's undefeated. So yeah, this guy tickles my pickle, and I cannot wait.
Pause.
I cannot wait to put my hands on him.